Hi, and welcome to TMJ Unlocked. I'm Dr. Gunnarsson, and I'm here with Mindy and Casey, and we are going to be making for you today a Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal the healthy way. So first, we're going to preheat our oven to 325 degrees. First of all, we're going to take a half cup of ground flaxseed and mix that into our bowl. 3/4 cup of almond flour. A 1/4 teaspoon of fine grained sea salt. I love the pink Himalayan sea salt. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I always use high quality vanilla. It makes your recipe just pop. A half a cup of water. And a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Again, the better the ingredients, the better the flavors. Now we're going to take this and we are going to mix this all together into a ball. So mix it together till it forms a nice ball. Mix really, really good because mixing some of these ingredients, they don't act like normal flour and sugar that you normally use in baking. And so they take a little bit to mix together and a little bit to absorb that water. So I mixed them together really good, let them sit just a minute, formed a nice ball. And I'm just going to put this ball on our parchment paper right here, right like that. Look at that. So initially when I was rolling it, it was really sticking to my rolling pin. So we found that putting some parchment paper over the top allowed us to roll it as thin as we needed to without it sticking. And here it peels just right off. All right, so now I'm going to mix together the remaining 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And we are actually using allulose sugar instead of coconut sugar. I'm just going to mix these two together. Allulose sugar has great anti-inflammatory properties and is a healthy sugar for your gut bacteria. Now that's all mixed, we're going to take some avocado oil and I'm going to brush it lightly onto our rolled out dough. Just trying to make sure that it's nice and even, not pulling up anywhere, but that I've got enough everywhere, because we want our cinnamon and sugar to stick to the dough. Now comes the fun part. This is when you get to sprinkle the cinnamon and sugar on top, almost like making cinnamon rolls. Doesn't that look good? I've got it on here pretty good. And then you just need to smash it in with your fingers, making sure that that sticks really good. Got it everywhere on here. There we go. Now that that is put on there really good, what we're going to do is we are going to cut these into little squares, just like you find in the cereal. Nice little wafer squares. And then there's some remaining. I'll tell you what we're going to do with the remaining after, because there's some remaining cinnamon sugar left over. So I like to use a pizza roller, a pizza cutter. This is just the easiest thing to use when you're cutting up in little strips. I'm just going to kind of just go in here. These are going to probably be odd shaped. If I wanted this perfect, I would take, and you can see that on our rolling sheet here, there are inch marks across it. I would take a ruler and hold that across there, then I would just cut with each strip, making sure every single one of these are the exact same size. Now you transfer these over to the cookie sheet, one by one. No, we can probably take two or three. I'm going to let my helpers do this. Okay, we're going to put this in our preheated 325-degree oven. Ooh, it's hot. And there we go. For 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, we will turn it down to 250 degrees for 30 more minutes. So while our Cinnamon Toast cereal is baking, we are going to talk about why inflammatory diets are so important to our bodies. Mindy?
Chronic inflammation isn't good for our joints. It's not good for our body in general, and it can lead to health issues. And there are some foods that can contribute to inflammation in our bodies. So we recommend people reduce what those most common inflammatory foods are. One of which is dairy.
Right.
Dairy in its regular form of soft cheeses, milks, sour creams, things like that, tend to have an inflammatory property to them. Although there are some dairies that are better than others.
Right. And I always get a look from people when I tell them to go off dairy and that dairy has inflammatory properties. I'm like, well, just think about it. Every time you eat ice cream, don't you get congested? Okay, that just tells you that you've just ate something that's inflammatory to your body because it's causing congestion.
Clearing of the throat after eating is another sign of whatever it was that you ate is causing some inflammation in your body. But hard cheeses
are all right to eat.
Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt is another one that I say it's still okay to eat. Ghee, because it is butter that has been
clarified. The proteins have been removed from it. So those make it more anti-inflammatory for our bodies and better able for us to utilize them without contributing to inflammation. We definitely recommend a reduction in refined sugar, particularly table sugar and high fructose and even regular fructose corn syrups. Sugar is just a known inflammatory in general. If you're eating a lot of sugar, it's really not good for your joints, but the inflammation can also lead to high blood pressure and contribute to diabetes and even cognitive function, whether it be brain fog or even leading up to Alzheimer's and other dementia-related cognitive function.
And it's sad because sugar is found in almost everything that we eat. It's funny because when I was growing up, Frosted Flakes used to be called sugar Frosted Flakes. Honeycomb cereal wasn't just comb cereal, it was honeycomb cereal, you know. Everything said sugar before it, or honey before it, or sugar before it.
Sugar smacks, wasn't it?
Yeah, sugar smacks.
Honey smacks.
And so, but we find sugar in everything that we eat. And so reducing it as much as we can, I try to tell my patients, just reduce out those extras that you would have, that candy bar, you know, that sucker, the Halloween treats, the cupcakes, donuts, things like that that contain a lot of sugar and are not that good for you. By doing that, you'll cut out a lot of sugar out of your diet because, like I said, it's going to be found in your salad dressings and all the other, and ketchup, things that you just use on a daily basis. So let's not add to it.
Right. Now, if you're making your own food, we recommend instead of using a table sugar, refined sugar, that you substitute for other sweeteners that are healthier. And that would be your maple syrup, your honey, date syrup, and then in this case, allulose. Allulose is also a great sugar substitute. We don't recommend artificial sugars because those aren't great for our bodies as well. So try to stay away from like the Splenda and the aspartame, things like that that aren't great for our bodies.
Yeah.
Another thing that we recommend on our anti-inflammatory diet that you reduce or eliminate as much as possible is gluten. A lot of people have gluten intolerances. It may not necessarily be a full-blown gluten allergy that leads to celiac disease, but it can have some inflammation properties to it that's affecting people, causing bloating issues with the gluten.
Right. And the reason why gluten is so bad in the US is because we're using genetically modified wheat in order that's ground up in for our flour. And that genetic modification, in order to make a plant have a shorter season, grow shorter, and produce more wheat, is actually those things that are irritating our guts, because it's not something that is natural, is out there, but it's been something that's been modified so that we can produce so much more. So, if we're over in Europe, you don't find the genetically modified flours over in Europe. And so you can eat as much breads and stuff as you want to over there. But over here, we really need to be careful not to be eating the floured products because they can cause gut inflammation.
Right. We even have a patient who orders his wheat in from Europe so that he can grind his own and enjoy gluten that way. But it's interesting. I personally have a neighbor who travels to Europe a lot, and he can eat as much bread as he wants there, but every time he comes back to the United States, it affects his gut. He's bloated, he's uncomfortable. So there is definitely a difference between the wheat in Europe and the wheat that we have here in the United States. So we recommend that you stay away from gluten as much as you can.
Yeah. So eating an anti-inflammatory diet is going to make you feel better. Your body needs to attack areas and do what it needs to do to repair. And when it's trying to cope with inflammation and all that, it's not going to be able to use that energy to repair those areas of the body that need to be repaired. So that's why we suggest anti-inflammatory diets.
Right. And that anti-inflammatory diet is going to help heal your jaw, and it'll also help other areas feel better throughout your body.
So it looks like our cereal's about ready to come out well and be switched over to a different temperature. So thank you for joining us as we're going through the anti-inflammatory properties of things that we eat. Almost identical to the same sound. Oh, while these are still warm, straight from the oven, we're going to take that extra cinnamon sugar that we had left over, and we're just going to sprinkle it on top. Get some more yummy cinnamon flavor in there. And then you really should let them cool all the way before eating them, because straight out of the oven they're still going to be warm, and they're not going to have that crunch that you expect. They're going to have that kind of a sogginess to them until they cool completely. But I'm going to eat one right now. That's good. So thanks for watching as we baked some healthy foods and made some healthy snacks. And join us next time for TMJ Unlocked.